let's just go here. Hey guys, so I'm feeling quite cooked this morning. I trained early, had a bike session, but oh my gosh, okay, I'm just going to quickly say my night last night. So I get home quite late from training, and then Tuesday mornings I have an early cross training session. So I have to okay, someone's parking in front of me and I was just watching them back their car really close. Anyway, so on Tuesday mornings I have to get up early before uni to do a cross training session, and I try to prioritize sleep so much, but I get to bed quite late because I was trying to study, and then I get home late from training, and then I was like, look, one night I won't have the best sleep, and I was going to get 6 hours if I fell asleep at 11:30, which is really bad. I honestly, 9 hours is okay, and I was just like, oh well, it's just one bad night. So I was already not going to get that good sleep, and then when I was trying to fall asleep, there was a mosquito buzzing around me, and I was just like, and I didn't want to get up, so I just put my covers over my head, and I was like, hopefully if I just do that, then I'll just fall asleep and it'll die down and give up on trying to suck my blood or whatever. And then it was still just buzzing so loud when my head was under the covers, and then it was too hot under the covers. 3 hours into the mosquito, I was just like stuff this, and I got up and went to get the mozzie spray, and I just sprayed it everywhere, and then I was like, great, I'm just going to be breathing in this mozzie spray now. And then I fell asleep for a bit, and then I woke up in so much pain with my ear. I've had so much ear problems with all my earrings, getting infected and stuff. But this time it was with one of these lower ones, which I've had for ages and shouldn't be getting infected. And I was like, it was hurting so much, so I was trying to pull it out. And I took the back off, and I was trying to pull it out, and it wasn't coming out. So when I woke up my mum, I felt so bad, but I was in so much pain. This is at 4 a.m. now, and I was like, can you help me? And then she was like, oh my gosh, there's she was like, there's something gooey, something she was like, it's stuck. And then she was like, you're gonna have to just yank it out. And I was like, that's why I got you, because I can't. And then she was like got all faint, and because she's really bad with medical things, she couldn't, she was like, I'm gonna pass out. And when I was in year 10, I had viral pneumonia, actually, that's what it ended up being, but I was in so much pain one night, and my mum took me to hospital because we thought it might have been appendicitis, because it was really bad and it was getting worse. And then when I was in the emergency room, they tried to take a blood test, and they just tried to take my blood, and I hadn't had water because it was the middle of the night, so my blood was thick and it wasn't coming out properly. And then my mum passed out just because she's really bad with medical things, God bless her. But she passed out, so then they went and took her somewhere, and I was just lying there with the thing in me, and I was just hello. But anyway, it ended up being the back of the earring. I accidentally had two backs of the earring in, and the one further back had pushed the other one into the hole, so it was in the hole of the earring. Anyway, so finally I got to sleep, and I was having such a good sleep, an hour before my alarm went off, and then my alarm went off, and I was like, why did my body wait till the last hour of the night to sleep? But anyway, so I just smashed out my session and feeling a bit cooked now. But anyway, that was a long little story time. I'm so bloody busy with training in uni right now, but I did have some videos that I wanted to film, so I was like, whatever, I'm just going to use this 5 minutes I have now to film one. And one of the things I wanted to do a little video on and just explain or talk about, I'm sorry, this lighting is really not doing me favors, but anyway, the thing that I wanted to talk about was how I got to doing a 10-minute plank. And this is not just doing a 10-minute plank, it's just how you can get to achieve any of your, goals. Honestly, it probably can be applied not just to sport and fitness, but to anything. But I'm just using that as the example. So basically there's two things that I use to get there. So the first thing is the training principle of progressive overload, and the second thing is mindset. So progressive overload, I feel like it's weird to explain because I feel like everyone knows, but maybe they don't. But basically, progressive overload is a training principle. Basically all about, as the training load increases, you get fitter, and then you can increase the training load again, and then you get used to that, and then you get fitter. So it's all about increasing the training load, which stresses your body, and then your body adapts to that and gets fitter, and then that training load becomes easier, so then you can increase that training load, and then the same process occurs. That new training load is harder on your body, stresses your body, adaptations occur, and then you keep increasing it. So you can apply that to anything. So weightlifting when you lift, if you're squatting 50 kilos and that's hard, your body's going to, well, first your body's going to break down. When I say break down, like the muscles get little tears in them. And then when you recover, rest properly, fuel yourself properly, your body will repair and adapt and make fitness gains. So like those tears will repair and you'll gain muscle mass, get stronger, all of that. And then 50 kilos will start to get easier for you, and then you can increase the weight, and then that new weight is going to be a lot harder, but then again your body will go through the same process and adapt, and then that will get easier for you. And basically that's how you progressively overload a load. And a load doesn't just have to be weight, that's just the easiest example. It can be speed, so like getting faster, or dropping rest times even. And so I use that for planking. So when I first was in a cast and I had to just do cross-training stuff to keep fit and I couldn't run because I was injured, one of the things I did was lots of body circuit stuff, obviously on one leg. I started to practice holding a plank, and I was like to myself, okay, I want to like get better at holding a plank. And I had to just do it on one leg at first, but then it got easier when my cast came off. But when I first started holding planks, like seriously doing 2 minutes was really hard. And like I would just be like, okay, just push to 3 minutes. Like I wasn't good at planking. And even if someone thinks like, I can't do a 30-second plank, that's so hard. Like literally you just have to push yourself to do 30 seconds. Like find what's hard for you, and don't worry if it's only 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes to start with, because you got to start somewhere. So for me, I would start with like holding a 2-minute plank. So the adaptations, your body takes 6 to 8 weeks to adapt and make changes, like getting aerobically fit, getting more mitochondria in your cells, getting your body actually better at taking up oxygen. It takes time, so you have to be consistent and patient. But obviously training gains, you don't have to wait 6 weeks before you increase a load. You can do it every 3 weeks or so, or even, and when it comes to something like a plank, you can do it more often. But so I would just try and start with a 2-minute plank, and then each week I'd try and add a minute. And sometimes like you might get stuck at 3 minutes for a long time, and then you just add 30 seconds. And so every week I just try and add a little bit more. And then eventually after a few months I got to 10 minutes. And that's when the second thing, mindset, comes in. So it's hard. Like it doesn't get like easier. It just gets, your body gets more capable of doing it. You get better at holding 2 minutes, and then you have to push, and it's hard to get to 3 minutes. Or when you get to 7, that's when I started to be like dying, and then this is when it becomes mindset. So if I had 8 minutes as my target for that week, and when I got to 7 I was when I got to 6 I was absolutely dying, I would say to myself, that's all right, just go to 7. Like if I'd been consistently hitting 7 and my aim was to increase it to 8, I would be like, it's okay as long as you don't regress. If you just stay the same, then that's fine. You don't have to progress all the time. So I'd say to myself, all right, just get to 7 again. I am struggling too hard. And then by the time I got to 7, I'd be like, just 30 seconds more. Like I'd be like, oh, you're already here now. May as well just hold it out to 30 seconds. And then I'd get to the extra 30 seconds. Then I'd be like, all right, my goal's 30 seconds away. I've been holding this plank for 7.5 minutes. Why would I stop when I'm 30 seconds away? So I just played tricks to my mind kind of and be like, that's fine. You don't have to do it. And then when I got there, I'd be like, oh, you're almost there now. Just do it. And you can do that mindset kind of trick with anything. Like at training, when we have a 300, I just think of it as a 200, and I'll just be thinking of my first 100, my first 200, how I want to set up the not race, but like the rep. Just think of it as a 200, run it like how I have to, and then when I've run 200, there's only 100 left, like you're in the home straight, like, and then when you get to that last 100, you start thinking what you need to do now. Like you don't think about what's coming ahead, just think about what you're doing now. Just be like, all right, just do this 200, and then even though it's a 300, when you get to the 300, you can start thinking about that then. You don't need to kind of switch yourself off, or set yourself up to be like, I can't do it. Just think of it differently. So honestly, mindset and progressive overload, use mindset and progressive overload for anything. One thing that it's really good for is push-ups and clap push-ups. So like when we started doing clap push-ups at training, say we had 20 clap push-ups to do, I would struggle to do 20 in a row. So I'd start breaking them up, and then even trying to do like 5 in a row, and then eventually you just start adding one and be like, just push out one more, you can do it, and then eventually you can do 20 in a row. And it's even just for push-ups. Like a lot of the girls at training do push-ups on their knees, and I always say just do them on your feet. You're not getting anything out of doing them on your knees. It's better to do one on your feet than do them on your knees. So like, and the only way to get better at doing them on your feet is to start by doing one, and then push yourself to, like, obviously when I say do one, like you have to do one, stop, do the next one, stop. Don't just do one. But then the next week try and do 2 in a row, and then the next week 3 in a row. So that's like progressively overloading. And yes, so that's how you're going to get to do things like a 10-minute plank or whatever you're aiming to get to. You got to progressively load it up. So just remind yourself you're starting from somewhere. Wherever you find yourself at now, don't stress that if you don't think it's good. Just be like, okay, this is where I'm at. Next week I'm going to increase to this, and then the next week this, until I get to where I want to be. And use mindset. It's your greatest tool. Okay, so that was kind of random, but yeah, I just wanted to share that. And I feel like I hadn't like sorted out what I wanted to say in my head very clearly, so I hope it made sense. But thank you for watching. But yeah, so I've got to quickly have my brekkie now before my first lecture. So thanks for watching. Peep the standard brekkie that I have every day, but it's delicious. My zucchini oats